This video will show you how to visually format an academic paper according to the guidelines specified in the Publication Manual of the Modern Language Association, 9th edition. The style of formatting is sometimes referred to as MLA formatting, MLA style, or simply MLA. Please note that MLA is the style used for papers written in the discipline of English. Most college classes will require papers to be formatted according to the requirements of the American Psychological Association, or APA, but these requirements are not too dissimilar from MLA style. The requirements of both APA style and MLA style are pretty specific, and you're likely to find them tedious at first. But once you've formatted your first paper, you'll get used to the process. This video will not tell you everything you might need to know about MLA style for any particular assignment. Our focus here is on the visual appearance of papers formatted according to MLA style guidelines and some of the very basic guidelines common to all papers that require MLA style, including page numbers, font type, font size, and line spacing. This video will not cover topics such as citing sources, parenthetical citation, and preparing the works cited page. I've covered some of these topics in separate videos. It is strongly recommended that you use Microsoft Word Online to complete any paper that requires MLA-style formatting. Other word processing software such as Google Docs and Apple Pages don't include all the capabilities you'll need to format an academic paper correctly. The online version of Microsoft Word is recommended because it's the most updated version of the software. If you're a TSC student, you have free access to Microsoft Word Online, and we'll start by looking at how to access it. Later in the video, we'll also see how to submit a paper prepared in Microsoft Word Online through an assignment link in Canvas. To access Microsoft Word Online, start from the TSC homepage. The way this is set up at TSC is a little unusual, but it works just fine. You'll access Microsoft Word Online through your TSC email account. Start by clicking on Resources in the upper left corner of the TSC homepage. Then click on Email and Calendar. Next, you'll be prompted to log in using your TSC username and password, the same one you use to access Canvas, Workday, and other TSC software. Enter your username and then click Next. Then enter your password and click Sign In. Once you're in your TSC email box, look for the icon that looks like stacked boxes in the upper left corner and click on it. Then you'll see a list of Microsoft software that you have access to as a student. One of those is Microsoft Word. Click on Word. On the next screen, choose Blank Document. One of the things I like about Microsoft Word Online is that it saves your work automatically, so you never have to worry about losing your work. The next time you log in, you'll see the documents in a list. The first thing I recommend doing is giving the document a name so it's easy to find later. You can do that by clicking on the word Document at the top of the screen. Then type a name for your document in the box provided. I recommend choosing something that's easy to identify, like ENC 1101 Essay 1 or something like that. Then just click in the middle of the screen to start work on setting up the essay. The next thing I recommend doing is setting up page numbers. MLA style requires your pages are numbered and that those page numbers appear in the upper right corner of every page. Microsoft Word will do this automatically for every page. To set up page numbering, click on the word Insert at the top of the page. Then click on Page Numbers. And then click on the icon showing a page number in the upper right corner. Next, you'll see a screen with this odd symbol in the upper right corner of the page. Don't change or delete that symbol. It will be replaced by the page number when you turn in the essay. Click just to the left of the symbol and then type your last name followed by one space. Then when you finish with that, click in the center of the screen about where you see the red arrow now to continue working on the paper. Next, you should set up the font type and size. MLA style guidelines allow for different fonts to be used, but there's one that's very commonly used across college classes and programs, and the MLA style guide does recommend using it. If you're a student enrolled in one of my classes, I do require this font to be used for every paper you write. The font is Times New Roman, and you can select it by clicking on the drop-down menu you see displayed on the screen now, and scrolling down the alphabetical list until you see the font, then click on the font name. Next, you should select the font size. Here again, MLA allows a few different font sizes, but 12-point font is the most common, and that's the one I require. Click on the drop-down menu you see here, then select 12. MLA requires that everything in a paper should be double-spaced, and that's the next thing you should set up. Do that by clicking on the icon that shows 3 dots in a horizontal row, which you see the red arrow pointing to here, and then click on the option labeled Line Spacing. Next, click on 2. MLA style requires that you place some identifying information at the top of the first page of your essay. On the first line, you'll type your first and last name. On the next line, it's required that you put your professor's name preceded by their title, which in most cases will be Doctor. On the next line, you'll type the course number of the course you're enrolled in, like ENC 1101, for example. And finally, you'll type the date when the paper is due in the format that you see here, and you do have to follow this kind of formatting exactly according to MLA guidelines. On the next line, you'll type the title of your paper. You don't need to overthink the title and just shoot for around 5 to 7 words that reflect the content of your paper. Do call it something more than just Essay 1. Your title will go in the center. Microsoft Word will do that automatically by selecting the option shown here. And then there's an example of a title. It is required that you start the text of your paper on the very next double-spaced line. You're also required to indent the first line of a paragraph by 1/2 inch, and Microsoft Word will do this automatically for you when you press the Tab key, which is usually on the left side of the keyboard. From here, you just type the paper, being careful not to change any of the settings. Make sure you also indent the first line of each new paragraph. When you reach the end of the text of your paper, the last thing you'll need to add is the Works Cited page. I won't cover the specifics of creating a Works Cited page in this video. That's a whole other topic on its own, and I've covered it in a separate video titled How to Create a Works Cited Page in MLA Style. But there are a few things that should be mentioned here about the placement of the Works Cited page within a paper. One thing to know is that any academic paper that refers to any outside source of information, which pretty much covers any paper you might write in a college course, must contain a Works Cited page. That includes the specific information about sources that were used in the paper. The Works Cited page must begin on the first line of the last page of the paper. To start the Works Cited page, use the page break function by clicking on Insert and then Page Break. At the top of the Works Cited page, type the words Works Cited, then on the very next double-spaced line, start the citation for the first source on your Works Cited list. Again, the information about how to do this Works Cited list is in a separate video. The last thing we'll talk about is how to submit a paper that you've completed in Microsoft Word Online through Canvas. If you're a student in one of my classes, this is how I require students to turn in all of their papers. In order to turn in your paper through Canvas, you'll first need to download it from Microsoft Word Online to your computer. To do this, start by clicking on File at the top of the page, then click on Save As, and then click on Download a Copy. None of these other download options will work for downloading a file that can be submitted to Canvas, at least not the way that I've set up my Canvas course. After you click on Download a Copy, you'll see this pop-up window. Click on Download. What you see at this point will depend on how your computer is set up, so you might need to get help if the next few steps don't make sense. I'm using the Google Chrome web browser on a computer running Windows 10, so this is what I see after I click Download. Regardless of how your computer is set up, you'll want to save your file in your Downloads folder. I can do that by clicking here. Then what I like to do is to drag the file from the Downloads folder, which I've shown here, onto the desktop. This makes the file easier to find when submitting it to Canvas, and there's the file on my desktop. Now you'll see the process for submitting this file through the designated assignment link in Canvas. Starting from our Canvas course homepage shown here, you'll scroll down to the assignment link shown here. Then click on the assignment link, and you'll see this page. Click on the blue Submit Assignment button in the upper right corner. From here, it's pretty much like uploading a photo or file to any website. Click on Browse, then locate the file on your computer. This is why I like to put the file on the desktop. I click on Desktop, then the file, which has that nice specific name that I gave it earlier, and then it takes me back to this screen. Here, you'll need to click the box next to the statement on academic honesty, and then finally you'll click Submit Assignment. A few final things to note. You can check to make sure everything looks right by clicking here on the word Submission Details, and then on View Feedback in the center of this page. This will show you an exact copy of what I'll see when I go to grade your essay. It's also helpful to know that you can click on this icon to make this window larger and easier to see, and it's a good idea to scroll through and check your page numbers and indents in the Works Cited page. That concludes this very short video on the basics of MLA style formatting for academic papers. Please remember that the requirements that were described here are just the very basic requirements of MLA formatting, and much more may be required for a particular assignment. These are, however, the ones that are common to just about any academic paper that requires MLA style.